Oh my goodness. Some of the stuff is really fun. I've been messing around with it. The AI, this is Grok. Grok made this image from a prompt that I gave it. And yeah, I put this tweet out saying Grok is pretty fun to mess around with. It makes for some fun memes, but it might add to the propaganda and false stories floating around. I wouldn't be surprised to see some of these images on CNN. Anyway, here's Elon Musk and Donald Trump having fun together at the water park. It's too good. I mean, it looks really, really realistic. Unbelievable. Have a look at this. And it gets crazier. It absolutely gets crazier with this video put out recently. And this I put out this. This is my point exactly. The hustle. And this is some of the imagery that's coming out. This was put together by who is it? Oh, I had to figure it out. It's the Door Brothers. Yeah, the Door Brothers put this out. But yeah, it's like unbelievable how realistic it's getting, and it's only gonna get better. It's only gonna get better. Only 6 months ago, it was like it couldn't even get hands right. Oh, it still can't get hands right exactly, but it was way worse than it is now. Of course, Zuckerberg with his lizard, and Biden in a wheelchair holding up convenience stores. This is unreal. But yeah, this is AI. This is what it's capable of doing now. And things are gonna get scary. Things are gonna get scary because a lot of the stuff is duping people. Even this is a good example. This is on YouTube, and I'm gonna turn the audio off because I don't know, it's probably copywritten audio. But this is a clip that half of it's real. So that part. Oh, hold on. I gotta switch the thing. Here we go. So this is a clip where half the part is real, but the second part's not. And if you don't catch it, you'll miss it. But it's spliced with AI. So this is the clip right here. This is from America's Got Talent or whatever you have you. And right here is where they switch it to AI, where it turns into a real dog. But this is what AI is capable of doing. There's a lot of mistakes, like the hand disappears, some different things that are telltale signs of what AI is, but just crazy. Anyway, I've been pretty impressed with with all of this stuff lately, looking at it and just seeing exactly what it does. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome in. Holy cow, I've been gone for a little bit. I went away for a week. I went camping with the fam. And yeah, that's it takes time. You gotta go away to do these things. Why don't we bring the chat in? Hey, chat, come on over here. Let's get in. It's gonna be a fun show tonight. Everybody in the chat. Did the chat go silent there for a minute? I gotta pop that open. Where's everybody coming in from tonight? I'd love to hear that in the chat. Of course, in beautiful British Columbia with my beautiful white background. Maybe I should get some at least some forests or whatever in the back just to spruce things up, something like that. Trish Prue, the $2 super chat. Thank you so much, Trish. The Clyde withdrawal is over. LOL. Oh yeah, holy cow. I didn't even think that people might have withdrawals from me not being around. I gotta turn my camera thing on. 1 second. This is what happens when you're not prepared. Oh boy. Oh boy. Step away for a minute and you forget how to do anything. This is great. Earth. We got someone from Earth here. Wow. Okay. Cool. All right. Sarnia, Ontario. Victoria. Calgary. South Vancouver, London, Ontario. Yeah, I've been there many times. Bowen Island, fantastic place. What's this? Spruce Grove, Alberta. Never been there. I have been to Alberta a few times. I don't know why I visited so many times recently, but almost like only ever flew over Alberta or carryover stop through. And then in the past couple of years, I've been a bunch of times. I don't know how to pronounce that. Amqui, Quebec. Awesome. Thanks for joining. Right here, Sudbury, Ontario. Hi, Clyde. I used to live in Sudbury. Sudbury. Yeah, holy cow. That was probably the coldest winter I've ever been through. I hope everybody's having a good wobbly pop this evening. I've been having them all week because I've been on vacation. I'm not going back to work till Monday, but I'm going to have my beautiful weekend before. I still wanted to do the live stream. I was thinking about, oh, should I put a video out this morning? Yeah, I mean, I haven't been doing research all week. I haven't been getting into it. And this is part of what's going to be happening in this live broadcast this evening. It's going to be a lot of fun because we got some guests coming in and they're going to fill me in on what I've been missing. Holy cow. Let's get some of these names up here. I had these bookmarked because I just wanted to, because I always share with you who's coming on the show, but I never have the names up. And so John... I'm always mispronouncing his. I think it's pronounced Weiber, but he's going to be coming on the show tonight. I'm looking forward to this. You check him out on Instagram. He is on. I believe he's on X. He's on YouTube, but he's 1 million strong over on Instagram. Holy cow, killing it! I didn't know he broke that 1 million mark recently. We'll be talking about that tonight. And of course, you guys know him on here as a prolific tweeter. He's been on a ton, and that of course is the government.exe is corrupt. He's a libertarian, anarcho-capitalist, you can see by that symbol right there. Same as your the Argentinian hero Javier Milei. He's gonna get in here, and we're gonna be talking about what's been going on this week. Because again, I've been out of the loop. I've been under a rock. I've been out in the woods. I've been not following a ton. I can't stay away from it 100%, but I did try to get away. I did try to get away because it's almost impossible to get away completely, especially with technology, unless you go somewhere where there's no cell phone reception at all. Of course, I did not do that. That's not what I did. I was still here in cell service, British Columbia, and that's fine. That's fine. But we went to the lake, we went to the water park, we went to a theme park. We had lots of fun. It was great for the kids, and I got to do a lot of cooking. I like doing cooking outdoors. It's a favorite pastime of mine. So yeah, this is what's been going on. But I wanted to get into some of this stuff because it's just beyond me, and we're probably going to talk about this more when we have the guests in. But I wanted to hit this one because I saw this tweet earlier this week, and I was just blown away actually by the just like what are they actually trying to say here? And well, what else? Let's just get right into it. Let me pop this up like this. Boom. Hey, there we go. Get the chat out of the way for a second here. But this is the Liberal Party saying we're delivering more support for renters while unlocking 3.87 million new homes across Canada. But Pierre Poilievre wants to cut our housing investments. Add your name to support our plan to make housing fairer for every generation. Now, if you do click the link, does it take you to their plan? Does it take you to anything of what they're actually doing? No, it just says it's basically the same as the tweet, and they want you to sign up as if like you support this. This is you are right on board with what their plan is, but they don't tell you what the plan actually is. Now, what does it sound like? Well, there's one of two ways you're going to do this. You're going to make houses cheaper so everybody can, well, you're going to make 3.87 million houses, or you're going to confiscate property from people. Which is it going to be? Now, I tweeted out saying, why does unlocking 3.8 million homes sound like a massive property confiscation program? Well, maybe is that what's in the works? Got Trish Prue here. Remember, for 22 months. It's been a while, Trish. Wow, thank you so much. I got my Clyde mug and my Clyde Brew Something coffee, and the coffee is awesome. Also got an AeroPress, and it works great. Thank you for recommending it. hit that like button, everyone. I think I need to put that on the store as well. If we can, maybe put the AeroPresses right on the store. I mean, we'll probably not make much of a margin. We'll just make it available for people. But yeah, get over there. Get yourself some coffee from the store. Of course, this is the Clyde Brew Something coffee at the Clyde Do Something store. The store is up and running. It's going there. We got some other things coming. But in the meantime, you can get your coffee fix. You watch my videos with me every morning. I'm sipping a cup of Joe. Have yourself a cup of Joe at the same time. Enjoy it. And it's roasted right here locally in the Lower Mainland, which I'm excited about. I personally know the roaster. We're friends, and he's doing a great job, and it's really, really good. And the bigger it gets, the more business he gets, and he can do well with his family, and the more business it helps support the channel as well. So get on over there. The link is in the description down below. Head on over there, order yourself up some coffee, and get yourself a mug. The first 50 mugs are going to be those color changing ones, and then we're moving on to another thing. Everything we do moving forward is going to be limited run stuff, so get on over there. And I really need to, for those people who are enjoying this over on Twitter, I should I should make that available to you guys as well. Sorry about that, neglecting the people that are watching this over on Twitter. So I'll get in there in the thread and make sure that everybody has the link for that down below. Let me get that on there real fast. Boom, boom. Clyde Brew Something. There it is, available for you just below if you're watching over on Twitter. Awesome. And thanks for the plug, Trish. I really appreciate that. That's awesome. Giving us a plug right away, right out of the gates, while we're getting into this. But I want to talk about this. I want to get back to what I was just referring to, and this is the Liberal Party and what they have to say. So might as well I'll just flip it to this and pop it up. This away. I'll get up here. So, yes, we're delivering more support for renters while unlocking 3.87 million new homes across Canada. But Pierre Poilievre wants us to cut our housing investments. So, what are these housing investments? Because as far as I'm aware of, we're not able to meet the demand. We cannot, at best, per year, we can produce ballpark of 230,000 homes. 230,000 homes. So what's their plan of unlocking? And this is where the terminology, it makes me nervous. I start feeling nervous when I see this stuff. I start reading the way their verbiage. We're unlocking houses. So that means that they're houses that are already built. We're talking about houses that are already built. They're going to confiscate property. They're going to repurpose property. They're going to tell people they can't live in this home. Perhaps tell people, oh, well, you have too many rooms in your house. Yes, this is something that is being discussed at the moment. This is actually something that's being discussed. Now, other people have said in the comments, because, like a lot of people are concerned about this. I think there was one comment in here saying that it's more about the idea of freeing up, making it easier for people to borrow money because the lenders don't want to lend money out. Well, why wouldn't they want to lend money out? Perhaps it's a bubble market that's about to pop. Maybe that's why they don't want to lend any money out. And the only thing that's really propping the market up is the amount of newcomers that are coming into the country, which is crazy that this is where we're at. And I mean, we could get into all the dynamics of it because it gets pretty damn crazy. But other people are starting to take notice of what I've been talking about. And I have this video here from Instagram, and I want to share this with you guys because this one really hits the nail on the head. This guy from Blender Report, Jonathan Harvey, nails it. He absolutely nails it in this one.
Utter madness. Almost 7% of people living in this country hold temporary work permits, student visas, or are seeking asylum. When you factor in illegal immigration, that number jumps to around 10%. In other words, a significant portion of people living in Canada aren't Canadians. Meanwhile, the rate of permanent residency is climbing each year, with 2024 on pace to add over 500,000 new citizens with similar targets over the next 2 years. In fact, the only countries growing their populations faster per capita are in Africa, and even then, the percentages are pretty close. Anyone not blinded by woke ideology can see the devastating effects of this mass migration. Crime is surging, housing is increasingly unaffordable, healthcare is collapsing, wages are stagnant, and young Canadians struggle to find summer jobs, while taxpayers foot the bill for all of these problems. As Canadians line up at food banks in record numbers, asylum seekers are being housed in hotels at the taxpayer's expense, receiving individual benefits that outstrip what the average Canadian earns per year. Now, there are 4 underlying reasons for this unsustainable rate of immigration that few are willing to discuss, so here they are. First, government social programs like the Canada Pension Plan are essentially a pyramid scheme dependent on age demographics. With Canadian birth rates below replacement levels, the government is importing a new tax base from developing countries to keep these programs alive.
Unfortunately, they're not taking jobs as doctors and lawyers and all these other things. They're not even skilled tradespeople. No, they're coming in here, even if they are skilled, they're coming in here and they're working medial jobs, entry-level positions, which is crazy. And I love the fact that this guy is talking about this, and perhaps we can get back to that video, but I really want to share this. So this is a news post. It came out of Hamilton, Ontario. Niagara Falls, Ontario man put 1 million kilometers on his car and wants to drive 1 million more. Now, who showcased this? None other than Bratney on Twitter. And she wrote this. This is beautiful, what she wrote here. He arrived here at the age of 33 to attend Niagara College. Now he's 40 years old and has been a delivery driver for the past 7 years. He had a nursing degree in India, but he decided to study it again at Niagara College, which was this to get his foot into Canada. He drove his car as an illegal taxi for members of the international student community, quote unquote. They're now a community. This is now considered a community in Canada. And how does one attend class full time and still manage to drive 130,000 kilometers a year? That's 356 kilometers every single day of the year without a day off. So India lost a nurse. Canada gained a delivery driver. Is this how we build an economy? Did he have a commercial insurance for all that driving? I'm sure he's a nice guy, but we do not build our country based on someone's likability. Every PR card and passport handed off to students have to be investigated. These people who run these colleges need to be tried for treason. Those are some strong words, obviously, but this is crazy. It's absolutely insane that this is where we're at. Well, the government is saying we're going to unlock all these new homes. Well, how do you unlock new homes that aren't ready to be, well, I mean, they're not ready to be sold. People aren't paying the price. How do you unlock these homes? Now, I want to share this because this is an interesting article here from Better Dwelling. Most Canadian home builders plan to cut new supply in half. So they're having construction. Not because people don't want to work. There's a job shortage at the moment. People can't get jobs, but they're having construction. How is it that we have so much demand in the marketplace, but yet nobody wants to fill in that demand with supply? Well, it's because nobody wants to enter the market when you sell your house and if the market crashes before that happens. Why would you put in all that time and effort and risk into this before all of that happens? Now, look at this other article from same publisher, Better Dwelling, saying Canadian real estate inventory grew more than 2 times the rate of sales. So what are the Liberals talking about? Are they talking about usurping property, or are they talking about giving out loans just like they did just before the subprime mortgage crisis in the United States, when the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac came in to lower lending standards so that people could afford these inflated prices? People who, why wouldn't they be allowed to get a loan? Well, perhaps you can't afford it. Perhaps you'll be underwater. You can't do it. Oh, but whatever. Just buy into that property. The real estate agent said I could just totally, live in it for a year, sell it, and make $100,000. That's my new profession. It's gonna be for the next while anyway. But I digress. It's just insane, the process going on here. Northern Perspective with a $5 super chat. Liberal promises 666,000 homes need to be built per year. Current projects show less than 240. That's what I said. It's about 230 and change. Hey, awesome. We're on the same page, obviously. Northern Perspective. Thank you so much for the super chat, by the way. You guys know exactly what's up. You know what's going on. So, yeah, obviously, here we are. And the liberals just can't math. They just can't math. It's like impossible for them to just, holy cow, just think of it. We cannot let this many people in. But I'm still standing firm, and I'm in agreement with this guy, Jonathan, on Instagram, as he says, this is a Ponzi scheme, and it has been forever. And nobody wants to be left holding the bag as a politician. Really, at the end of the day, that's what that is. Nobody wants to be left holding the bag and say, you know, be the ones to have to cut Social Security, cutting all those promises that you've given to people. You create all these people that are dependents on the state, and then you have to be the guy to cut that off. No. What do? Well, they bring in the next payers. We all seen what a Ponzi scheme, a pyramid scheme looks like. It's a pyramid. So the people at the top, you need to have more people paying in than you're paying off as investors, right? So then the next line in the pyramid's got to be bigger and bigger and bigger. And this is what they're doing. They're opening the floodgates to immigration in the hopes that those people will be, net beneficiaries, or, people who will pay taxes and pay the burdens that they've created over generations. And, I'll let them go on about this.
2. This so-called cultural enrichment actually leads to a fragmented society, making it easier for government to not only manipulate and control us, but also implement egregious policy. While citizens bicker over group grievances, they fail to recognize the state as the true source of their problems. 3rd, the government is colluding with transnational criminal organizations, including the Sinaloa cartel and Chinese narco groups, for political and financial gain. The evidence is abundant, and this corrupt alliance thrives in a diverse population, as any criticism can and has been dismissed as racist or xenophobic. And finally, the government can obscure the reality of Canada's declining productivity and stagnant wages by artificially inflating GDP through mass migration rather than genuine economic growth. But make no mistake, when total debt is considered without subtracting non-liquid assets like CPP, Canada's debt to GDP ratio plummets to 26th out of 32 countries. Now, I want to be clear about something here, because people are often quick to conflate these things when they hear information that does not really comport with their narrative. This has nothing to do with any particular race, religion, culture, or ethnicity. This has to do with the well-being of Canada for Canadians, a country that is already the most diverse in the world. So it's time to shed the illusion that this government's actions are motivated by altruism. Canada's current immigration policies are unsustainable in steering us towards the collapse of our culture, infrastructure, and economy. Immigration in Canada.
Yeah, I mean, what do you say to that? Yeah, of course, people want to blame each other. This is the perfect thing for the government that's caused all the damn problems. Is you guys should be blaming those guys over there, or they're happy when people start blaming each other, and that's what you see a lot of on places like Twitter. You see this on social media. It's crazy. People, is it the government that's been flooding the place with people? Oh no, it's the Indians. That's what people are saying. Why? If they're given an opportunity to come over here, a lot of them were scammed to come over here. I mean, it's a no-brainer. People are gonna do it. It's the government that's at fault here. You don't go blaming the people that are caught. And this is exactly it. They sow division, divide and conquer. It's the oldest trick in the book. Holy cow! And we're all falling for it. It's just amazing to see. Northern Perspective with another $5 super chat. You guys are generous. You guys have been working all week. I haven't. I've been taking my time off. Holy cow. Thank you. Maybe I can pay for my wobbly pops tonight. But thank you for the super chat. If our debt to GDP ratio fell that far, that's saying something, considering it includes the CCP to offset the debt position. Exactly. Absolutely correct. It's insane. But of course, the numbers that you get out of the government are absolutely false. You're not going to get true numbers out of the federal government. They're just cook the books again and again and again. And this is another just perfect example of it. We have the Justin Trudeau himself getting on Twitter to congratulate, pat himself on the back for a good job, well done here. Inflation is now the lowest it's been in over 2 years. Wow. Is it? Absolutely. I tweeted back at him and said, "Great work! You've changed how we measure the effects of inflation. Pat yourself on the back, big fella. Pat yourself on the back." It doesn't change the fact that the prices are going way up and they're not slowing down. And even if you were to slow it down in 1 month period, it doesn't change the fact that over a year, over 2 years, over X amount of years, the prices have still gone up tremendously, and they're still going up. Of course, they'll tell you that deflation is a bad thing because of the old Keynesian models that we're probably going to get into that when my guests come in a few minutes here, but absolutely no, we could use some deflation here in Canada. I could see that being a very positive thing for a lot of people. But yeah, of course, we could get into those arguments. But nonetheless, there's lots to talk about. Lots has been going on in the past little bit. Northern Perspective also saying, Clyde, the way hold on a sec. The only way they could figure out how to bring down inflation was to cause a recession. Yeah, well, the inflation is still going up. They used to call it stagflation. It used to be this concept of what would happen if there was inflation during a recession. Well, the John Maynard Keynes said that couldn't happen. All you got to do is put liquidity into the marketplace, and that'll smooth out the boom-bust cycle. That's exactly how it didn't work, and that could have been predicted a long time ago. But don't listen to the guys that were right. Always keep listening to the guys that make you feel good about what you're doing in the moment. Like have another drink, a little hair of the dog. That'll kill the hangover. You'll be totally fine. No problems will ever come about that. Don't get that liver scan. Don't get yourself checked out. Just have a little more of that hair of the dog. That's the way we're gonna do things. I'm sorry, I can't do this without laughing. But I want to introduce my guests tonight because this is gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna get into a pretty good conversation, and both have been on the channel before. And first and foremost, I want to introduce John Wyber. He's out there every single day, and well, welcome to the show, my man.
It's good to be back, Clyde, man. I feel like your timing is very fortuitous, if I may. Word of the day, fortuitous. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, you've been growing like crazy. Holy cow, I didn't even know you broke that 1 million mark on Instagram. Congratulations. That's fantastic.
Well, we lost our TikTok account with 1 million followers. They shut it down. Yeah. Everything comes. Listen, whatever. Thank you. First of all, thank you so much. I don't mean to sound ungrateful. It's an amazing thing. And I'm very happy it happened the way it did. Because let's be honest, TikTok might not exist in the USA in 2 months. By the way things are going, it looks like it's not going to. So I'll take the 1 million on Insta all day. But no, they, without warning, shut down my TikTok account with 1 million followers. And you want to hear a fun caveat? They shut down the backup last week. So the backup account it now has 20,000 followers, and we're still able to be there on that platform. But things are getting scary, and I'm getting ahead of myself already, Clyde. But I mean, I think we're definitely going to have to talk about the things happening in the UK and the things happening in Germany, and what Justin Trudeau's pro-journalism bill has paved the way to happen here as well.
Oh, and exactly.
It's got me scared, honestly.
Yeah. Well, I'm terrified as well. We have another guest as well this evening. We're going to have a panel. This is going to be great. He's also been on the channel before. You've seen him recently. Our favorite anarcho-capitalist on Twitter. This is government.exe is corrupt. Welcome to the show, my man. Oh, you got to unmute?
Thanks for having me on again. Always a pleasure to chat with you on a Friday night, even though you guys are 3 hours into the past and I have to stay up a little bit later. But hey, always looking forward to a friendly chat with friends.
Well, that's your fault for choosing your geographics. I would say it's warmer out here. Come join us, but we had I'm the coldest camping trip in a while. Holy cow! It was all that global warming was just really. I was just holding back just for a moment to freeze us while we were in the woods.
It's asymptomatic global boiling. It's boiling, but you just don't feel it.
Yeah, you don't realize you gotta take a test like COVID to realize you even got it. But okay, so the forum's gonna be pretty easy, guys. Just butt in as much as you want. I mean, it's not an interview, so we're just chatting about all these things. And I want a caveat. I've been gone for a week, so I don't know a lot of what's been going on.
Oh,
so
can I? Sir, can I? Let me
Yeah, get right in there.
So Global Affairs Canada spent $8 million on a apartment in downtown New York City with a $6,000 coffee maker, along with, I think it was an $8,000 super fridge. Anyways, I just saw that. It literally popped up right before I came online. So I was like, I'm definitely going to mention that. So that's your money, you and you. Yeah, that's our money.
And you.
And I mean, I get it. Like, you want to know what? I've spent time in New York City. It is expensive. I paid $600 for a flat apartment with a couple Nigerians. And you know what? I had a great time. Why can't the Global Affairs guy do that? They got to get the $8 million apartment with the $6,000 coffee maker. I mean,
so they purchased the apartment? That's what they've done?
A day and not spend $6,000 in a year. I don't know. It
sounds like a commercial grade one. I don't know. I know a bit about coffee because we released a coffee brand. So yeah, commercial grade. Yeah, why would you need a commercial grade? What are you doing in an apartment? An apartment, Global Affairs. That's crazy. And so did they try to justify it? What the purpose of it was?
I mean, diplomatic relations, of course, sir, because you know that our word has a lot of impact on what Americans do.
Well, if you know anything about the SNC-Lavalin scandal, we know what diplomatic relations are like.
I do know a thing or two about that. I was
Holy
working in the
cow.
Hill when that happened. It was amazing how many liberals forgot about all the things they said before. And it was amazing how Justin Trudeau, the champion of feminism and Indigenous rights, went and threw the female Indigenous minister under the bus without a fucking second thought, like just gone.
Well, I'm just referring to what the allegations of the SNC-Lavalin thing was. They were buying prostitutes for Gaddafi's kids, so that they would be awarded contracts. And this is all on the government dime.
They never denied it either. At no point did they deny that happened. They were like,
no. They just said they wanted deferred prosecution. Please, just don't shut us down.
Let's move on.
What they said too is, the conservatives were doing it too, so it's okay.
You know what? My man ain't wrong. On that, for real. They both do it. Listen, here's the thing that I found out, and it was that moment when I realized I don't like the taste. I don't like seeing how the sausage is made. Is when I realized these big companies will donate to every side, including NDP. And I know that for a fact. I've talked with executives from Bruce Power, the largest nuclear power plant in the world. Some people don't realize we have that in Ontario here, and I live in a town like
16 reactors.
Yes, sir. My man, I like this guy. What's up, man? By the way, John, nice to meet you. I haven't had the pleasure yet.
Kevin, nice to meet you.
But
awesome.
But frankly, they donate to the NDP, and I had their VP of. I'm not going to say the rest of it because I don't want to out the guy, but he told me that. And I was like, you know that they campaign on shutting you down. He's like, oh, yeah, we know. It don't matter. It
doesn't matter.
To all sides. And I heard some of the stuff you were saying before, Clyde. I was listening in. Just like that little fake robot bug that the CSIS has on your wall right now. But listen, I really appreciated when you were saying, it's division, it's divide and conquer, and that is what they like to do, and that's how they try and do it in any little way they can. And
so I was actually I made the prediction that the Conservatives are going to win months ago because we watched all the corporate donors flip to the Conservatives.
There it is. There it is.
Yeah, and when the corporate donors left the Liberal Party and went right to the Conservatives, they saw the sea change, and they're like, okay, we know who's gonna win. Here, we're putting our money there. And like, is it a chicken or egg, right? It's like what drives what, but I'm I'm pretty sure there's a populist movement. It's moving to the right everywhere, and the corporate donors they know where the influence is going, and they're just going to put their money there because they want to get their stuff. They want their payola. That's how it works. What's the old expression? The first thing to be bought and sold in a regulated market's the regulator. It's like, of course.
I like that. I never heard that.
Another interesting correlation is the decline in Trudeau or Liberal support seems to line up with mortgage renewals. So the more people go to renew their mortgages at much higher rates, saying, "Holy cow, I can't afford this," who are they going to blame? The government in charge. So it's a strong correlation.
So that's a really good point, because a bunch of months ago, Chrystia Freeland, she made an announcement saying that they're gonna what was the term that they used to basically make it so that you don't have to go through a renewal process. Like you have to do the renewal, but they'll just defer the old rates, or defer your old. They don't look at your financial statements. They'll just like, you were able to pay it before, you can pay it now, instead of looking
like a rubber stamp.
Yeah, basically a rubber stamp, but saying like, oh, okay, let's not look at if they're even eligible for this loan anymore, and make them have to sell and then pay the bank back. No. Let's just make it so that they can go ahead now. And what I was speculating at before in the live stream was the idea that there's only two ways that they can unlock 3.8 million homes, right? Because they're talking about unlocking homes, but they're not getting into the details of how that's going to happen.
What's the 3 million number? Kamala Harris says she's going to build 3 million homes too. Sorry, it's just like, yeah, okay.
With 3.8
3 million's the magic number.
But for the Liberals, it's very specific. It's 3.87 million homes that they're going to unlock.
Okay.
Not build, unlock.
Unlock.
Like unlock my front door? You can unlock.
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
What do you mean by that, right? Because we can't make more than Northern Perspective came in with a number. They said 240,000, less than 240,000. I was saying 230 and change. That's the number, and it's a declining number because we have tradesmen retiring, no new people in the trades, or not enough new people in the trades, and immigrants that are coming over. They're not coming over with skilled trades. That's not a thing.
No, they're doctors.
No, they're doctors that drive Uber because they can't be doctors in Canada.
Cabs for some reason, because that's how we be doing it. I mean, or
Well, we know how they're going to unlock this. If you look to the United States, Kamala Harris said this week that, or maybe last week, they're going to provide up to $25,000 in government grants for people to make first-time home buyers, and they're going to start taxing unrealized capital gains. Unrealized capital gains. So you're living in a house that has appreciated because of this, massive inflationary cycle. Then you get hit with a tax bill and you're forced to sell.
That's dirty, man. See, I'm not a financial guy. That would have gone right over my head, and that is what they intend. That is exactly
unrealized capital gains is basically like saying if anything that you own has gone up in value,
and
they're gonna
sold.
And who's so here's the thing. Just a snatch, a little whoop, that's mine.
Jesus Christ.
But who's the arbiter of what this is valued at? This is where it's going to get crazy. Because if you're not, here's the thing. So like if you sell a house, it's only, you could say it's worth this much, but until it sells, you don't know. You really don't know, because it's up to the marketplace to add this. If you get rid of people, if people don't sell their assets and you're coming in, now you have to have like a czar or whatever from the government come in and say, and they'll be the value czar. It'll be just like the Soviet Union, because they didn't have price value. They had no price mechanism because it's communism.
Isn't it?
And they're going to just come in and arbitrarily say this is worth that.
Every path to fixing our problems somehow includes more government, which seems to be like the anti of fixing problems. It seems like an oxymoron. It's very struggling.
Well, Canadians are pretty dumb. They're pretty fucking dumb.
Sorry, well, you know what?
There's so many dumb people, and this sums it up perfectly.
No.
I love this because
it kills me that you guys are saying that, because you're not wrong, It's when they're in groups. If you can get them individual, they're not as dumb as you think. I like to
Yeah,
try and hang on. To
yeah,
that.
you're right about that. Yeah, you're right about that. But there's
I
this idea of democratic socialism. You know, we don't want communism. We want democratic socialism. But Vladimir Lenin saying his famous quote, "The goal of socialism is communism." This is the whole point.
Democratic.
But it just keeps it furthers more and more and more, right? Like it's ever accelerating and never goes back. You never get any of your freedoms back. The temporary measures have to be taken because of problems that the government created in the first place. So they have to come in and solve the problem. And what's the solution to every problem when the government comes in? Remove more of your liberties.
More government. Higher taxes.
More government.
Higher taxes. Don't forget the income tax. Income tax was a temporary measure to pay for the war. Ending of the gold standard was a temporary measure. 1971. You know, temporary. There's nothing more permanent in life than a government temporary measure.
That was Milton Friedman, right?
I like that. Yeah.
Yep.
That's temporary, like herpes.
Yeah, it just has flare-ups every once in a while. That's exactly.
And you were talking earlier on, like on your beginning, on your intro about immigration and the tax base. I sent you a video on Twitter DMs. Doug Ford this week actually admitted it. He said that immigration is great because it's increasing his tax base and he doesn't have to raise taxes.
Okay, I'm going to put that up. Just give me a moment.
Clyde, I'll say this, Clyde. I do actually appreciate you pointing out the fact that this is a hole that we've dug ourselves by not having enough babies. Like I do appreciate you acknowledging that, because there is that underlying thing. Like the boomers are eating up all of the welfare state, and we're not having enough kids. But having said that, like I didn't actually realize that since Trudeau got into office, we have 6 million new Canadians.
Yeah.
Do you know that that's 25% of our population? That would be the same as America bringing in like 50 million people. And it's just like, when you look at it that way, I was like, holy shit, man. And I'll tell you this, I worked for Tim Uppal back in the day, back in the Harper government. And Tim was a great guy. No shade to Tim, but they do politics in Edmonton, Millwoods a little differently than the rest of Canada, my friend. I just got to tell you, it's not really the same. When you're bussing in people that don't speak English to vote for the box you showed them to vote for, I don't know if that's democracy anymore.
Well, it isn't. It isn't. And I've never been a fan of direct democracy, just like the founding fathers of the United States of America. I mean, what was it? Benjamin Franklin once famously said that democracy is two wolves and a sheep discussing what's for dinner. I mean, like at the end of the day, yeah, we have
except all the others, right? Churchill.
Well, it was a compromise to have democratically elected leaders that would run in government, and they'd be representatives of the people, and less of leaders. We use this other language now as if they're like ahead of us, they're on top. I'm just gonna play this video. This is the one you were talking about with Doug Ford here.
Ontario is growing faster than it ever has before. Some reports suggest that our population growth could be as high as 800,000 people. This kind of growth is explosive. People from across Canada, from around the world, are moving to Ontario, eager to be part of the thriving communities we're building, excited about the Ontario dream. But these newcomers, they also want to participate in our growing economy, an economy that's added more than 800,000 new jobs since we came into office in 2018, with 160,000 new jobs added since the beginning of this year.
Yeah, but 800,000 new jobs, but how many new people? I mean,
how many did
he didn't talk about
that you're counting in the new equation also, just saying.
It's so important to our government to ensure that the economic growth we're experiencing benefits the entire province. That no matter where you live in Ontario, you have the same opportunity to access a better job with a bigger paycheck. But friends, as I've said before, as we rebuild Ontario's economy, as our
Rebuild,
population
build back
grows,
better.
we have to build the infrastructure needed to support this growth and ensure that it's sustainable for generations to come.
I fundamentally disagree with the this is a cart before the horse issue. I think like an economy grows because you leave people be, and they build businesses and they build infrastructure, they build stuff. The government just gets in the way. I mean, you could argue that the government is the one who needs to build all this infrastructure. Like the highways would have never been built if it wasn't for the government. The railroad wouldn't have been built if it wasn't for the government. But okay, in the last 8-9 years, we've spent more money than through the entire history of Canada. How many new roads were built? How many new bridges were built? How many new hospitals? How many new anything was built? None of it. Nothing. And they're telling us that they're the ones to build the infrastructure. Get the hell out of the way. Just get out of the way.
Clyde, 100%. Can I jump in? I just want to say, we hit a landmark. Ontario, we're doing real good here. Did you know we have more homeless people here than California?
We're killing it.
That's
Number
insane.
one, baby.
That's fucking crazy, right? So Doug Ford, everything he just said is trash. Secondly, so government, what they should do is not run our economy into so much debt that we have to go to war to get out of it. And really, if they could just do that, if they could literally just do that, we could flourish. And everything you just said, I'm not disagreeing with everything you just said, but there is a role for government, and it's to provide a place of peace for you so that you can live your fucking life and not be knocking on your door because of a social media post you made or because your kid said something in school that didn't apply to the new age fucking curriculum. You know, like, we need less government, but having said that, I don't know how I don't know how to make it any more clear. Everything that's happening is because of the outrageous amount of debt our governments around the world, every government is guilty of it, every single one of them, for allowing, like, the debt we have accumulated is never going to be paid, and there's no intention to pay it.
No.
Well, and we suffer for that. We suffer for that. The companies don't suffer for that. P. Diddy don't suffer for that. How is that guy not arrested yet, by the way? Sorry, random. But, like, I'm just saying, like, the fucking deck is stacked. I think we can all see it. I think even, and you know, it's sad to me that it's the liberals that cling to this we can still trust our government thing these days.
No, they can't. You can't. And liberals, by the way, the old school liberals were the ones that taught me how to question government. So it breaks my heart to see y'all fucking falling in line like a bunch of good Germans, you know?
And just on your point on debt being paid back, I'm in the camp that all debts are paid. The piper has to be paid. Even if it's not paid back in dollars, it'll be paid back in blood.
Well, there it is. Yeah. I mean, you just nailed it. And that is the history. History has repeated itself. How many times do we got to see it play out? How many times?
The only thing we learn from history is that we don't learn anything from history.
yeah, no, that's very true. Mr. Speaker here, member for 24 months, says,
"Yo, Kevin, you've dropped 2 on me tonight that I've never heard. I appreciate that."
Anytime.
Mr. Speaker saying, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." Famously, the most terrifying words according to Ronald Reagan.
Yes. I thought it was, "I'm the tickle monster. I'm going to tickle you." I thought that was it. No. You're right.
So the government, they're trying to come in and say that they're in charge of infrastructure. I mean, I'm from Motor City. I grew up in Windsor, Ontario, Windsor, Detroit. That's where all the auto manufacturer got going. Yeah. They got going in spite of government in the beginning. Henry Ford didn't come in with a government grant and a government loan to get going. No, he did it on his own, and all the other manufacturers in the beginning.
Sorry. You know he sued the Allied forces for bombing his Nazi factories, right?
Did he?
Yeah, he won that lawsuit also.
Okay, I'm not going like strictly on Henry Ford.
I can't fucking help it.
Right. The auto industry took off. What we now know as the big three.
Go on.
What we don't know was the big three was a bunch of other small companies. Ford and Lincoln and Mercury were all different companies at one point. Dodge,
Sure.
Chrysler, Plymouth, they were all different companies. All of this stuff it amalgamated later, but it all came about in a time where the market was much freer and there was much less regulation. They were able to
100%.
come about and become businesses. Now the government thinks that they're the arbiter of who is successful in the automotive field and what it should be. And they're giving away our tax dollars to make the infrastructure for these businesses in order to make battery plants and all these other things here in Ontario.
Well, at one point, I think we gave during the 2008 recession. A lot of people don't even remember that, but get ready because it's about to get a lot worse. We gave how many millions to the auto companies? I think Ford was the only company to fully pay it back.
I don't know if Ford. I don't know if
Ford didn't take out a loan because they had a contingency plan.
Oh,
Yeah.
was that it? Okay.
Yeah.
I knew Ford was like the one that didn't fuck us over.
Yeah, but this is the law of unintended consequences, right? When Ford got nothing, they immediately got rid of their contingency plan. So the next time that there's a crash, they're going to get a paycheck.
Got it.
And Chrysler was the one that took a whole bunch of money and then declared bankruptcy.
That's one way to do it. That's one way to do it. Yeah.
It's amazing to me. It's amazing to me that like people don't see all the times that the government actually meddling in industry is actually what causes the industry to behave badly. Yeah. So, I mean, famously, just before the 2008 collapse crisis in the United States, when we just lost John here for a second.
No.
I'm here. Back.
Sorry.
So
my phone was blowing up. I had to make sure the nuke didn't drop, so we're good.
Oh, okay, fair enough. So before the 08 crisis, we heard about Bernie Madoff and their scams that they had going on. There was another thing that was happening in California. A lot of people were complaining about blackouts and brownouts and all this other stuff. The infrastructure is falling apart. The government needs to come in and do something about it. Well, the government was the reason for it, and a lot of people don't realize this. It was actually FEMA. FEMA is a disaster relief program that the government runs in the United States.
Concentration camps. Sorry,
yeah. I'm not talking about that specifically. I'm talking about the fact that when they were established, and what they did was they said, okay, well, we're not here to, we're not here as an insurance program. We're here in the worst case scenario. We'll come in and we'll fix stuff to get things up and running. So, but what people don't realize is now the power companies that own the power lines, they actually have a fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders to now look at that situation and go, well, if we leave them until they're completely derelict and a storm takes them out, the government will pay for them to be fixed.
Get it going, baby. Let's go.
So it would actually be irresponsible for me as the CEO of the power company to actually go in and preemptively fix it and cost our shareholders money. So therefore, it's our duty, our fiduciary responsibility to leave all the power lines to become derelict.
I think that's literally the plot of Twisters, the sequel to Twister. Long live Bill Paxton, by the way, and a fantastic movie, if I may say. But yeah, that's like what they're doing. They're like, yeah, please. Let us blame global warming, which is based on probably solar flares and things that are out of our control, and then we'll get it for free. We'll get it for free.
So I did live in California for a few years in Palmdale, and I was selling electricity. And coming from Ontario, it was a completely new reality for me because one city had a completely different power company than another city. It wasn't like OPG, Ontario Power Generation, and everything was amalgamated. It was competing energy companies, and it was their costs, their energy bills were far less than ours in Ontario. Like the average bill would be like $100-$150. It's twice or three times that here. So even in the most communist state of California, they're still able to provide a better quality service at a better price than Ontario. It's ludicrous.
I saw something the other day. It was a post, and someone said, Canada's got a very unique democracy. It's dictated by 2 competing telecommunications companies and 1 grocery store. I was like, yeah, that's about right. Yeah, shit. I don't know. Like, I hate to say it. I'll put it this way. I used to honestly be genuinely proud to be Canadian. Keyword used to be. And that's
that probably ended in what, like 2015?
Yeah. Honestly, not even like, I mean, shit, man. Over the past 3 years, I think it's really been hard to be proud.
I was so proud of Canadians when the trucker convoy happened.
Sure.
So
I mean, that was a start. That was a start. And look, I'll say this. You know what? This is a perfect time. I'm going to jump in. Quick story time, guys. You may have noticed I got this hospital bracelet on. I'm not going to get into details. I had a health scare. And you ever had that moment where you thought you were dying? You ever had that, Clyde? Kevin?
I thought I was dying? I don't know if I ever thought I was dying.
I was worried maybe you had cancer or something, you know, where you really were scared.
Only when I open up my hydro bill every couple of months.
Fair enough. That's a different kind of cancer. That's called government.
That is cancer, though.
The cancer that grows in your body. So I ended up getting like a CT scan. I got the blood work, the urine, all done. And I'll say this, clean bill of health. I'm so fucking grateful for it. It's honestly giving me a new lease on life. Like this happened recently, like a week ago. I will say this. I had Americans, messaging me, filling my comment section, like, get ready for the $10,000 bill, get ready for the $15,000 bill, get ready for this, get ready for that. And I said, no, there's no bill coming. So I will say some things in Canada do work, and I am still proud to be Canadian, begrudgingly. But they're making it hard to be proud. But I wanted to point out, like, we're sitting here ragging on the government, and that is what I do. But I will point out a thing that worked in the moment, and I know it's an anecdotal story. I know everyone's experience is different. But if you were in America and you did what happened to me and had all those tests done, I would be bankrupt. And that's the truth. So I'd like to play devil's apricot and just shine a light on the fact that is maybe not the worst thing. Public health care might actually not be terrible, but I know it's case by case. I know it is case by case, but I want to throw that out there, and if people in the chat want to holler on that and give their experience, I'd be super curious to learn. But I will say this: I know I costed a CT scan of my lungs was not cheap. You know what I'm saying? That's not cheap in America. That's not cheap in a lot of places. And I'm
how often I'm not too sure how old you are. Probably my age.
I'm 36, my friend. 36.
Okay, so how often have you gone to the hospital since
I was there for 12 hours. I was there for 12 hours. I thought my appendix was bursting. Honestly, that's why I went. Oof. I'll give you guys a spoiler alert. It turns out I just had to take a fat shit. And that is honestly the truth, Clyde. And I'm sorry for the language, but I had like a bad indigestion day, and I drank a bunch of Pepto-Bismol, and apparently that's not a good thing to do. Don't do that, for the record, guys. Don't do that. But having said that, I haven't been to the doctor in 10, 15 years.
So the average cost per year per taxpayer is about $10,000. It's $8,500. So 18 to 36, that's 18 years. Times 10,000, that's $180,000 that you paid out of your pocket in taxes to get that. So you've already paid for it.
You said, John, you're talking to two libertarians, like one stauncher than the other. And I don't mean to double team on you, like pile on like this.
No, please.
But absolutely. So the thing that's hard though is to say that one is one thing and one is the other. So like socialized medicine is the Canadian model, and private healthcare is the U.S. model. I would definitely not say private healthcare is the U.S. model, and I definitely wouldn't say. I would say Canada is the socialist model. Like it is probably the most adhering to the socialist model than any other country that has universal healthcare, because we're the only ones in the OECD to ban the use of private medical centers. Like you cannot seek private medical. So all the others that do well at socialist medicine, they do it in spite of the fact that they're trying. You know what I mean? They're not doing it well because it's socialized
No, for the
medicine.
record,
They're
I
doing it
think
well because there's other options.
we should have private centers.
Two-tier.
I mean,
Two-
I personally,
two-tier.
that's my personal opinion. Why wouldn't you, unless you're trying to be, I don't know, like a stubborn X or something? You know, there's no other way to describe that. Like, it's like,
But
it makes no sense
both
to not offer
both
that.
of the both of the problem, or so both have the same problem. The United States model has the same problem as the Canadian model, and it's called the third party payer system, right? It's the idea that you get the service from one person and then a third party pays for it. So it removes the price mechanism from the whole equation, and then there you go. This is the whole reason why the Soviet Union collapsed.
Well, and you get into those things where it's like the Disney. Now, Disney did back off of this, Clyde. I know you've been away for a week, but I'm not sure. Maybe you don't know this. There was a man who died at a Disney restaurant, and his wife sued for wrongful death because he was served poisonous food or some shit.
Peanuts, I heard about it. Yeah.
And they countersued saying because they had a Disney Plus subscription,
Yeah.
they were unable to and thank God
It was in
it
their
went the other
waiver
way,
for
but we're
Disney
not-
Plus or something.
Yeah. So, anyways, Disney did back off. I think they are going to settle.
So they
for
didn't take Christopher Freeland's advice and cancel their Disney subscription.
No one should ever take Christina Freeland's advice ever.
No. But so I want to get back into this. So
on
that
anything.
so the
God,
third party payer system, what goes wrong in the United States is because they have an insurance racket. You have to go through these insurance companies, and what happens is, say you go to see the doctor, and the doctor's like, yeah, okay, you need this or whatever, and you're like, okay, well, my insurance will cover it. And so the doctor now, he has to hire a staff to do all the paperwork and file for the insurance company. The insurance company's got a bunch of lawyers. They're looking for every little loophole to get out of paying. So the doctor's got to pay lawyers to fight those lawyers.
Yep.
And it creates this whole bureaucracy. And this is a market economy bureaucracy. This isn't like a government bureaucracy, but nonetheless, it still is
it's an oligopoly.
A vulture. Yeah, it's a vulture on the market or on that particular commodity. So until that happened, healthcare was relatively inexpensive and very very lucrative for people who wanted to get into the business. Now, like, even as a doctor, you still have to pay like all these insurances for malpractice and all these other stuff. Like, every person is a potential lawsuit coming in your office, and that becomes a big issue. And then you put on top of that the third party payer system. Now, what happens in the States is, or what's happening in the States is some free market oriented people, I forget the guy's name, but he started Whole Foods. He came up with a great idea. Instead of paying for these expensive medical insurance programs for his employees, he got them on medical savings plans. And so a portion of the money that he paid into it would go towards catastrophic insurance. So say they got cancer and they have to go get chemo and all these tests, that'll cover that. That'll be covered. But everything else, like break your arm, you need
your
a
appendix is bursting and you go to the hospital and it turns out
no, because that's catastrophic. That would be covered as catastrophic. If it turned out you just had to take a
but
shit, you probably have to pay.
What if it wasn't bursting? Like, what if it turns out it wasn't bursting? Which is
well, then you'd probably have some nominal fee.
I'd be
I think there'd be a nominal fee.
Full, baby, full for sure.
No. With this system, the way this system works. Nonetheless, the way it works is people are encouraged to go to the doctors and negotiate. Tell them, hey, I don't have insurance for this.
Oh.
I need to settle with you. And in almost every case, they see the doctor. The doctor says, oh, okay. Well, I guess I'm not going to charge the maximum that the insurance company will allow, because that's what they normally do. They just throw out the biggest number that they possibly can because they know they're going to get lowballed by an insurance company. They'll say, oh, I could do it for this. And what's happening is, as more and more people are getting into these programs, and they're negotiating prices, it's actually bringing the prices down.
That's a voluntary trade. That's exactly what voluntary trade is. Two people coming to an agreement without the force of the state, trying to make that happen, that transaction happen. That's a volunteer society. That's what we need.
I'd like to see more of that in my personal opinion, because I think that's the way we get away from the lawyers and all this other stuff taking care of everything. Is if people take more agency in their healthcare and negotiations, stuff like that.
So having lived in the United States and having U.S. healthcare and living in Canada and not really having healthcare here, one of the major differences is in the U.S. with your healthcare, you get access to gym memberships. You can go to your Fit for Less or your Planet Fitness because they understand preventative care in obesity will reduce your trips
What's the
to the
rate
hospital.
of obesity in America compared to Canada?
It's about 55 to 65% are overweight or obese.
Yeah.
So
that's
compared to
not really
Canada?
working, is it?
Canada is about is basically about the same. US is about 10 points higher.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
still,
so I don't know if that's working.
but still, my point is, if we're focusing on preventative medicine and we have this great socialized program, why don't we at least have value for that and give people access to gym memberships?
I'm pro that.
If you were to fuck coffee breaks, give your people a gym break in the day. If you want to have a productive workforce, let them go be active. I can't agree more with what you're saying, Kevin. I just don't think America's doing that right. I just want to add. I'm just going to add this, Kevin. You blew my mind with the cost that I've paid up until now, because I honestly was feeling like I robbed the system, and now I'm like, yo, they owe me more tests. Give me more.
They owe you faster, better service is what they owe you.
I will say this. Health is the one thing we take for granted the most, and it's easy to say, oh, well, but that day that you think you might be really sick, you're not thinking about what you gave in. You want to go to the hospital and just know, and I don't know why I'm defending the Canadian system right now. This is taking a turn. But I really mean it. I was treated very fairly, and I'll take the 12 hours in the waiting room, and I'll take that extra money I paid to just be able to walk out of that hospital and have that fucking chain around my neck gone. And I can't tell you the release I've had on life from that. And this is me trying to be positive, and it's still pretty grim. It's still pretty grim.
You're in Ontario, and I believe you said you were in the Bruce, and Ontario
it actually happened. It was in Quebec where the healthcare happened, but I don't think it matters as long as you're in Canada.
So Ontario has, I believe, 351 hospitals in operation. Of those, a mass majority, I think it's about 325 or 330, are private, non-profit hospitals. So they're like Lake Ridge Health and North York. They're all private hospitals. What is public is the insurance. It's public insurance.
Right.
So
that's the racket that we can't get away from.
That is the problem. People should be able to have access to private insurance.
I like that. Well, listen, man, and I'll admit this too. If I was in a rural area, I would have been up Schitt's Creek. I would have been waiting a lot longer to find out I had to take a poop. So, regardless,
the conclusion's hilarious. That you could say that for sure. Absolutely, but yeah, it's a weird system too, because there's exceptions to the rules. Like I learned this when I had Dr. Brian Day on the show, and he was suing the British Columbia government for not allowing for private medical. And he said in the lawsuit, it went to the Supreme Court, lasted 12 years, it went there twice. They denied the appeal. But what his argument was, well, why is it that we're allowed to serve government officials privately? And we're allowed to serve, court justices. Court justices privately, or even people who are incarcerated in Canada, they're allowed to serve them privately, but not other citizens of the province. And they're actually even allowed to, if somebody from Alberta came over and they showed their Alberta residency, they would be allowed to serve them privately. So what is the difference? And he said it was unconstitutional for them to do that, to make this difference of people just because of where they're geographically located, and they denied that, and that's sad for me. It's really hard to get over that.
It's not fair. It's not fucking fair. That's for sure.
Do you think if somebody from the Toronto Maple Leafs or the Raptors gets injured, they're going to be waiting in a waiting room for 12 hours? No, they have access to the best healthcare, private physicians. So there is private healthcare in Canada, but it's a big club and we're not in it.
George Carlin, my friend, yes sir.
Exactly it.
I mean, could you imagine if there was like, at least it's not at the point where they're taking like plane loads of doctors and like crashing the planes and killing all these cancer doctors that had like pretty remarkable research. I think they were ready to release.
I got a super chat from Dai Feichu for $10. Says, one time I was in Hong Kong and I wanted to see a doctor for a minor issue. I walked into a tiny doctor's office, waited 5 minutes, talked to the doctor, and it cost me $10 Canadian.
Wow. Okay. Do you
Steve's
know there's
Steve's
a
Hyde for
visa in Japan right now too? I mean, Hong Kong, China, I know, but I mean, I'm just saying.
A what visa in
there might be
Japan?
incentives, like cheaper healthcare and Japan,
what visa in Japan? What was that? A breeding visa? What was that?
Breeding visa. Yes. Not making that up. Check that shit out, Doug.
I'm gonna ask my wife. She's from there. Steve's Hyde for $5 says, I agree with Adam Sandler. That's funny. When I broke my leg, I was happy to be Canadian. My U.S. grandma said what a hospital bill was, and I said, what about them? Crazy.
Yeah. No, it was shocking. It was a shocking thing to see the response, like people being like, "Oh, get ready," because a lot of my followers are American and they think I'm American. So You know what's crazy is when they find out I'm Canadian, Clyde like to be like, "Well, why are you talking about our politics then?" I'm like, "Because what you guys do affects the entire world." I don't know. Is that like? Sorry, I don't know if you guys realize this. You're number one, but that also means you get scrutinized, like because what you're doing. It's affecting the world quite a bit.
Absolutely. So I used to live in Japan, and we visit there all the time because my wife is from Tokyo, the family there. And,
no shit. I didn't know that. Oh, that's awesome. Right on.
And so I've had to use the healthcare system there, and it's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fantastic. And
what's the difference? What's like the big difference you notice?
So there is like a bit of a socialized aspect to it. If you're really down and out, they'll help you with your medical insurance, which most people aren't. They don't have like a lot of people in like there are homeless people, but it's not like Canada.
Not like Ontario.
No. And on top of that, like you're required to have health insurance. Kind of like the whole Obama thing, like you have to have it. So there's a government option for the insurance, but then you can also buy insurance from all these other places, right? So you can get the cheapo insurance, or you can get a good insurance, and the cheapo insurance doesn't affect the other insurance companies because they all offer better services or whatever. And it doesn't matter about the hospitals. You can go see whatever hospital. The hospitals are fantastic though. They're absolutely amazing, and any medical service, it's all private because you're just using your insurance when you utilize this private medical. A couple of years ago, I went for a physical because I didn't want to bother with it in Canada because I thought if I did all of these tests, it would take me months and months and months and lots of days off work. So it cost me not only am I paying with my taxes, but I'd be paying with my days of lost revenue. So I decided to go there. It was about $1,000, and I got it all done in a morning, like everything. And they were so nice. It's amazing
what happens when you take bureaucrats out of the equation, eh? When you take a couple bureaucrats out of the equation, it's amazing how productive shit gets all of a sudden.
It gets very productive very quickly, and the service is nice with a smile, the whole thing. Very polite people.
In Canada, they would just offer you MAID. Be like, oh, that's too much.
I'm just here for a physical. Well, it's such a dark joke, but it's true. There was a woman at Vancouver General or whatever it was. She went in because she had a history of depression, and she was afraid of suicidal thoughts, and she went in to speak to somebody, and they offered her maid.
Someone asked me if they offered me that. For the record, they did not. 'Cause look at this temple. Look at this body. They're like, this guy's got a lot of years left, at least 5 years left. Anyways,
well, if you remember, if you remember, there was something called Made Track 2 that Mark Holland, the death minister in Canada, wanted to push through, and it was stopped because they said that the only reason that they want to push Made Track through is because of the economic viability, that it saves the government money to kill these people rather than to treat them.
It's the King of Carcosa. It's the Yellow King. There's literally short stories about the suicide machines, man. But the thing is, there's a story that broke my heart so much, and this happened out your way, Clyde. It was a guy, I think, in BC, and he had terminal illness, and he reached a point where rent went up so much during COVID he couldn't afford. He had to choose between rent or his medication. And he didn't want to be homeless, so he signed up for the Kill Himself program. He is dead now. That guy's dead.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's super fucking sad. Like, I'm not trying to get, it just, that's shit. When I see like that and I go, the government is literally guilty of that guy's murder, sort of, allegedly.
Well, it's democide.
For the new hate laws coming out. But I love the government, but I don't appreciate when they force people into a corner where they have to choose between their medicine or their rent.
How far have we come, right? So
yeah.
I've had a libertarian bend for a very, very long time. I've talked about this for many, many years, and I've always gotten into discussions, and it always comes down to the emotional appeal, right? So you give all your arguments, and then at the end of the discussion, it always ends up with, well, what about the one case where that person needs help? What are we supposed to do? Just let them die? And that's always the part where you're like, what do you want me to tell you? There should be family. There should be, there should be all, and then there's charity on top of that. Forever there's been Christian churches or other community centers that have helped people out. Why is it that the government needs to do this? And now, on top of that, the argument is, well, we went down that road, and what do they do with those people? Now they're offering them suicide.
Yeah. Wipe yourself out. Yeah.
I think we're up to 50,000 deaths by medical euthanasia in the last 3 years.
I did not know.
It's like one of the leading causes of death, my man. It is one of the lead causings of death in Canada.
Yeah, it's insane, and that doesn't even take into consideration medical malpractice, which is an additional 30,000 deaths per year. So every year you're looking at about 40 to 50,000 deaths from these medical experts.
Okay, so this is a dark rabbit hole to go down if you start looking into it. So right around the same time that MAID was going with its second round, and this was the new bill that they postponed until 2025.
MAID Track 2.
MAID Track 2, which is meant to extend to people with mental disabilities. Now, a mental disability that's listed in the list of mental disabilities is depression. So anybody who's depressed, and in practice, they're already offering people with depression MAID as a way out. There was a case with, there was a guy who checked into the hospital, and he had to get some procedure done, and he asked his brother, "Can you make sure that I get out of here? Because I don't know what might happen." He's had a history of depression.
That hurts. That's sad. Yeah.
They killed the guy.
Yeah.
They killed the guy.
Yeah.
And the only thing listed on his MAID application was that he had hearing loss.
It makes me want to fucking cry, bro. That's fucking brutal. That's murder. I don't care. I don't care anymore. That's murder.
Well, it's so crazy. The next thing that came about during all of this was this idea, and it
we've
came
all
out.
had those days, Clyde. I'm sure you have, where you wake up and you go, man, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And imagine that fucking government bureaucrat catches you on that day and says, hey, you don't want to be here, man. Let's go. Let's run it, you know?
Well, they're
We've all
always
been
there for you
vulnerable
when you
like
need
that.
them, right? That's always the case. Now it gets even darker. So there's another piece of legislation that they were trying to put through, and that was to grant medical, what would you call it? It's a medical consent for what they call mature minors. So minors who are able to consent to their own medical decisions from the age of, I believe, 13 years old, instead of having to consult with their
Am I the only one that sees
guide-
the slippery
guardian.
slope with that? What else can they consent to if they start giving them that?
Well, right, here's the thing,
Fine.
right? So this was coming out right around the same time as Made Track 2. And the only reason why they were introducing this was because they were trying to make it so, vaccine hesitant parents wouldn't
Right.
prevent their kids from doing that, so they can make the decision on their own. But it also leads to them being able to make all kinds of other medical decisions, like their boyfriend broke up with them, so they want to off themselves.
Done.
Yeah. And if
Yeah.
all they have to do is say that they're depressed or they're clinically depressed, which every kid today is clinically depressed because teachers want them on drugs because they just can't handle people with energy in their classrooms.
We all got ADHD, autistic, Asperger's, we're everything. We all got, it's the spectrum, baby. It's like just, anyways, yeah.
I know. It's such a crazy thing to consider, but then
Over
all of these.
medicated, overdiagnosed, and undertreated. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, we don't get to the root of the problem. They don't want to get to the root of the problem. You know what would probably help mental health? If we lived in a society that was fair.
Yeah.
No, just give them a participation award and prescribe them some Xanax, and everything will be great.
See what people, so people often they misconstrue what fair is, though. So what one person thinks is fair and some dummy socialist on Twitter thinks is fair are two different things, right? And this is
I think we could
this is
all
that
start-
argument
what if we
between
started with,
equity
like,
and
the price
equality,
of
right?
fucking bread. Like, let's start there. What's a fair price for bread? I think no matter whether you're left or right, you could agree. There's like a fair price there, and we ain't paying that right now. I'm sorry to cut you off, Clyde.
No, I know, but you brought up a
because-
good point
Because there's no free market competition.
Yeah,
the
so
only way-
Yeah,
have-
free market. There's one company. It's called
No.
Monopoly.
I love the question because they thought about that. They had that same thought back in Russia at the turn of the century. We should have a fair price for bread. And what ended up being the fair price for bread? It was
10 lives, 10 souls.
it was unbelievable, though. Like, it's crazy. Like altruism, but it's like, okay, so altruism is one thing, like where if you want to give away your stuff and be altruistic with it, but where true evil comes from is people being altruistic with other people's things.
Ooh.
And once they're
Yeah.
given the power to do
Yes.
that,
Yeah.
man, the evil things that they're capable of doing in the pursuit of being the good guy.
Yep. Yeah. I can't disagree with that, my friend. I cannot.
So
And that's
true
the curse,
altruism
right?
is always
That's that
personal
constant, like,
sacrifice.
debate where I go, fuck, sometimes you look at the decisions democracies are making, you're like, if only we could have a dictator that didn't act selfishly. And it's just not possible, sadly. It's just not possible. So I don't know. You need like a council, but then it's an oligarchy, and then they start companies that sell oil. And
Well-
then all of a sudden, it's just, I don't know.
If you go back to Greek democracy, one of the things that kept them in line for a little bit is after the politician ran its term, they had their accounts forensically audited,
Yeah.
and if there were any
Yes.
amount that were missing, they were executed.
They
Off
brought
with
the
the head.
guillotine
Wow.
out, baby. Yeah, no, you're right. That is something.
There's no accountability today, so
Yeah.
why? Of course, there's
Zero.
rampant corruption.
Well, they have the audacity to give us credit scores. I don't know how many trillions of dollars our government is in debt, but I can tell you I'm not that much in debt, but I got a credit score. What's the government's credit score? Can we get a credit score on,
It's
on,
it's
on the
it,
government?
it's
It's just silly. It's absolutely.
it's triple A plus. It's triple A
AAA plus. Yeah.
Biggest debtors in the world. Best credit rating.
Yeah.
but it's because they have taxed livestock, though.
Well, you know what's
And-
funny is they actually fund Moody's, so it works out all good.
Well,
anyway.
S&P and Moody's in 2007 or 2008 tried to downgrade the U.S. credit rating, and the U.S. government sued them.
My man knows. Shit, it's hard when I'm reversed. This way. My man knows.
Yeah. Oh, it's corrupt beyond belief. But it's different when you're going for a credit rating, and they're looking at what you earn, what you make, and they look at what a government makes. Because what does a government make? A government
Zero.
makes
Everything they make is
$4 billion a year, I think.
Everything
in
they
Canada.
make is stolen. They don't make anything on their own. They don't produce anything. Every single cent of their income is stolen from somebody else.
yeah.
How have we
It's
not talked
exactly
about the rail strike? Sorry.
Yeah.
I can't believe we haven't talked about-
I've been waiting for a good segue for that. Let's go with it. Let's go with the hard break. All right, let's get into this. The railway.
This is a long
All right,
video.
perfect.
Two major railways are on the brink of a strike at the same time. That means all the goods that make their way through the country by rail will stop, with no real alternative.
One word, catastrophic. There has never been a rail strike where both carriers went on strike at the same time.
The economic impact would be catastrophic, quite frankly. It's a very unprecedented situation for us.
Normally, these two railways, Canadian National and Canadian Pacific Kansas City, negotiate their labor contracts in different years to avoid exactly this. But last year, the government gave one company an extension on those negotiations so that it would have time to incorporate new rules that had been imposed on the industry. That means both companies' contracts expired at the same time. And now both are in a position to strike.
Oh gosh, the impact would be huge. We're just not in any shape to manage even a short-term blockade.
So just how disruptive could this be? It's pretty hard to overstate how much gets shipped by rail in this country. Half of Canada's exports go by rail, and 2/3 of all freight that moves through the country, so that's goods shipped by bulk, that also moves by rail. $380 billion worth every year.
The supply chain in Canada is dependent on rail service.
And that rail service is really dependent on two companies, Canadian National and Canadian Pacific Kansas City. And you can see just how much of the country they serve. There are 43,000 kilometers of railway tracks in Canada. About 50% of those are CN, and 30% are CPKC. The other nearly 20% are passenger trains and local freight trains that, for the most part, operate within a province.
If we had a different scenario, for instance, the grocery store goes on strike. So you don't go to Loblaws, you go to Longo's, you go to Sobeys, you go to whatever other grocery stores.
Okay, they'll break it down. We can break that same thing down ourselves. I wanted to share this one as well, though. That face you make when you locked out the railway workers and realize you need truckers. That's
Oh, shit. I did not even put two and two together. What an amazing poetry this is.
yeah,
Oh my God.
right.
That's
Well,
So-
it's kind of like Atlas
I'm
Shrugged
making a post on that
unfolding.
tomorrow, Clyde. I'm going to shout you out in it too, dog. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my God. He needs the truckers so bad right now.
Very
He needs them
badly
so
right now.
bad right now.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Without the truckers, or what we would have to do is open up the markets across
They
the
should
U.S.
strike
border. And
No. They should just strike too. Let's go.
That
This is
video.
it. Holy
that video-
shit. I'm talking to all y'all Albertans out there. Shout out. Fucking go on strike right now, bro. Let's go.
That-
We should
that-
all go on strike. Sorry.
That
Sorry,
video
I got carried
talks.
away.
That video talks about it a little bit later on. That if the rail goes on strike, the ports. So your West Coast ports, your East Coast ports, they grind to a halt.
So,
and if the
Kevin-
ports grind to a halt, then you can't ship by truck.
Kevin,
So it actually,
there are
yeah.
whispers that the East Coast is about to strike as well. I got that message 2 times today from people. Fisheries are about to strike as well. Get ready.
Well, it's a plan. It's a planned collapse of our supply chain, right? That is what they want. They want the supply chain to collapse.
Oh my God, my
And
brain
this
is
is-
reeling from
this-
that, Clyde. I cannot get over the
This
fact
is not
that
just. This is
sucker's
not
so
just.
bad
This
right
is.
now.
This is not just
That's
Canada.
fucking amazing.
This is not just Canada, right? This is going to affect the United States as well. So,
Oh,
you know,
big time.
this,
Big
this
time.
is going to cause supply chain issues across North America. So, you know, it's only a matter of time before either the CIA is on the phone saying, yeah, let this happen and let, you know, shit, you know,
They're like, we
completely
need more
collapse.
weapons for Ukraine.
Or they're like, you know what?
Everyone's forgotten about Ukraine. It's not even
Yeah,
a thing
no one gives
anymore.
a shit about Ukraine. So, you know,
You know what
The
would have been handy, guys? A fucking pipeline. A goddamn fucking pipeline might have been handy right about now when you're dealing with all this stuff. Good thing we didn't build it. Is the environment fixed? Did we fix it?
I
Is
thought
it fixed yet?
I
No.
thought we did. I thought we
Okay.
did build it, but it
Good.
just didn't. It's just, you know, not in use. I thought it was like you know, a multi-billion-dollar Campbell soup can.
Yeah. So I tweeted this out the other day because I did catch wind about this strike while I was camping, and I just put this out there. I said, I'm sure Trudeau and Freeland are freezing the bank accounts of the people who are blocking this crucial infrastructure.
Beautiful.
Because-
Beautiful.
Here's the thing, though: the precedent's been set, right? So this is a group of people, the trade unions, that are literally blocking crucial infrastructure for everyday life. This is, like you said, it's going to create supply chain disruptions for months and months and months to come. This is legitimately a thing. The argument for the Emergencies Act, the argument that they presented, which wasn't granted to them anyway, but the argument that was presented was that blocking infrastructure is worthy of an emergency in Canada.
Funny how that works, eh?
So yesterday, the Liberal government tried to introduce. Well, they did invoke binding arbitration to force CN Rail back to work, but then CN Rail said that this was. Well, the union said that this was a gross overstepping of their powers, and they moved to strike. So as of Monday morning at 12:01 a.m., CN Rail, the union, will go on strike, and CP Kansas City never came out of the lockout. So as of Monday this week, the entire nationwide train system will come to a halt.
So this is where it gets interesting politically, because Jagmeet Singh has been propping up the Liberal government for years now, and he's the only one in the way of us getting rid of Trudeau. And this was at a press conference just the other day.
You said earlier on, I think at 9, that you would vote against any Liberal back to work legislation, even if it's a confidence vote. So my question is, if it comes to that, if you do end up voting against the Liberals in a confidence vote, would that break your supply and confidence agreement with that country?
Well, we made it very clear that we would always oppose back to work legislation. I made that very clear to Justin Trudeau. I looked him right in the eyes. I said, we will never support any back to work legislation. Never count on us. You'll have to go to Conservatives, who are the enemy of working people.
How is this
You can
guy
go to
still
yourself,
elected?
Because we know the Liberals have sold out working people again and again with back to work legislation, forcing them back to work,
right in the eye.
undermining their rights. So if that's the path the Liberals want to go, we're going to fight them every step of the way. We made it very clear. I said, whether it's confidence or not, I don't care. We're going to vote against any measure that attacks working people.
So this at the end of the day, it's a political thing. So if
that guy sucks. Sorry.
If they bring forward a motion to bring back to work legislation to force the unions to go back to work, they're going to be against it. Obviously, the Conservatives will vote against it, and they're saying that they'll vote against it. But this could be a confidence vote. If it's a confidence vote,
let's go.
That's right. So if it's a confidence vote, this could be a thing that could actually spring an election. And
well,
you know what?
Well, we're about 7
You know
months away from Jagmeet getting his pension, so
If this is a non-confidence vote, I'm gonna throw this out there, Clyde, and I'm very dead serious. I'm talking to you, Maxine. I'm gonna take one of your spots and I'll run. Like I'm saying that. So I already sent an email out. We're kind of working on it, but I'll run.
Are you gonna run with the
Got an election
PPC?
coming. I just want to run just to see what the fuck happens. So I'll take the terrible party of Bernier to Quebec kid in a nice suit. And listen.
Hey, I'm from Quebec.
Let me win you one seat. I guarantee.
I'm from Quebec.
Guaranteed. But you gotta let me run it 100% my way. That's the only way it's working. Anyway.
Oh, I don't know if that's how that works with the PPC.
I don't think it's how it works anywhere, but they're up Schitt's Creek without a fucking paddle anyways, so
You sure are.
we're gonna press our advantage, my guy. I will say this. Can I just say this? I respect their right to strike, and I don't blame them for striking. I think we should all strike right now. Like, and listen, I've never been part of a union in my life. I've been fired for absurd reasons without cause, with just done. So there is a jealousy that exists between people that haven't been unionized in Canada and people that have. And I totally understand that.
But
and
no,
honestly,
on that point, you have more rights as a non-unionized employee than you do as a unionized one, because you don't have to deal with collective bargaining. If you were fired,
but you can get fired on the spot, Kevin, for nothing.
And then you can sue them for wrongful dismissal and get. No, you
luck.
can. No, I've
Good
dealt
luck
with I've dealt with labor lawyers all like for a very long time, and I'm telling you, you're owed up to 2 years compensation based on your type of employment.
Have you ever been
your
through that,
position.
Kevin?
Yes, I have, and I've gotten checks.
How long did it take? Because I am in process. It's been 5 years. I have not seen a cent. And it's at the point where I wouldn't even bother. To be honest, didn't even bother. They asked me to be part of a class action lawsuit.
I got it.
No person. So I understand what you're saying. Union dues suck, and I've seen Ken Lewenza, CAW CEO, sit there in a committee on Parliament with 4 gold rings on his finger. And I understand that the union bosses are just CEOs disguised as union people. Having said that, prices are outrageous, and I think all of Canada should go on strike.
Quick shout out to the supporters of the channel. Penny D with a $2 super chat saying, thanks, guys. Steve's Hyde also for $2 says, Sandler has my vote.
Nice.
We just need a couple more Happy Gilmore movies. That'll write everything. That'll make everything better. But yeah, I'm not. I would like to say when it comes to workers unionizing, getting together, that okay, if you want to get together and you want to put together a thing, I just don't think that unions should be able to have like extra rights than everybody else. So, for example, collective bargaining. Collective bargaining is a thing that if businesses did, it's antitrust. That's the competition bureau would come again at you. That's price fixing. So unions doing the same thing. They have special legislation that makes them immune from these laws. I don't agree with that. There shouldn't be immunity to laws. But if people want to come together and try to convince a business that we're, deal with us or you're going to have crappy labor or whatever, that's the thing. That's fine.
That's totally a thing, bro. That happens out at the power plant all the time. They'll be like, oh, you didn't give us what I want? Guess you're going to be 6 months behind on that little fucking project you were planning. It's dirty. It's dirty.
It's dirty. So yeah, but they're protected by laws that save them from that. And we've all heard the stories about union workers, getting drunk on the job and then getting kicked out, but then they're back the next day.
Non-union workers do that too, for the record.
Oh yeah, but they get fired forever.
But they get fired.
Yeah, they get fired forever.
No, it's like this, man. Just like anything in human nature, unions are a good idea. Until you take it too far. Until you turn the union boss into a fucking glorified CEO who's walking around like pretending like he cares about workers. I swear to God, I watched Ken Lewenza slam his fist on the parliamentary desk, and I was like, you could have took the gold rings off. Like if you're in here pretending to care about workers, like listen, you know me, I'm here playing devil's advocate on both fucking sides because I've seen the evil on both sides. And Kevin, just I ain't coming at you, bro. It's just like
I'm not
Unions are a
worried.
good idea, and we need them.
But you know what?
Unfortunately, they suck.
To your
Like
point
that-
on,
you know what I
to your
mean?
point to your point, and I think this is a point that we must talk about. Unions. I don't have a problem with unions. If private businesses want to come together and make these collective agreements, then fine. What I have an issue with is public sector unions. There is no reason for a government a government entity, the public sector, to have to actually create unions. I think that this is a major moral hazard. And I don't know what happened to our guest, but maybe
Yeah, no, I don't know what happened there.
If you want to chime in on public sector unions.
He just sent me a message saying his phone just glitched out. He wasn't mad at you and left, but
so public
he said give him a few. He'll be back in here.
So public sector unions have the ability to shut down entire, essential areas like education or, what have you. And all they try to do is extort the taxpayer for more and more money while delivering diminishing returns. So it's the public unions that I have a problem with.
Well, the public unions are the ones to have a problem with first and foremost, but private sector unions are they're responsible for some pretty bad things too. And you see it often. You'll have a guy who comes up with a great business. He's got a construction business doing good with his little 3-letter and a couple of trucks. Hires a bunch of people. The crew gets a little big. Now you got 12 guys. They don't like their boss one day. Union guy comes over, says, "Hey, you should unionize." The business is under in less than a year. They'll usually try to survive it, but there is no surviving that. Not once those unions come in, it's done.
And
you cut your losses and go.
That's
the way it goes.
What's funny when the Trudeau government they offered Honda $5 billion to come in, and then you had Jagmeet Singh saying, "Yeah, this is good." Honda is a non-unionized company, so Jagmeet Singh was out there praising Honda for coming in, offering non-unionized jobs, while bashing Loblaws, which I believe, I could be wrong on this, may be part of a union.
I don't know.
And you have Jagmeet Singh, who's supposed to be pro-union, promoting anti-union companies like Honda and bashing Loblaws, which is a union.
Well, what's made a lot of the Japanese manufacturers, competitive is the fact that they're not unionized.
They banned Honda. Banned. My mom worked for Honda. They said anybody that started to try to organize a union within Honda, they'd be fired on the spot.
Oh yeah, I mean that's just normal operations of a business anymore. If there's any inkling that somebody's going to start a union, they're gone. That's usually the way it works. But at the same time, it's not because the unions don't form because they actually treat their employees pretty good. I mean, I've heard lots of good things about in the United States, all through the United States, different Japanese manufacturers and Korean manufacturers doing really well with their employees and having really good employee relations despite unions, right? Like no union and good conditions, no union and good wages, no union and happy workers. Like the union doesn't always equate to people being treated fairly, in my opinion.
I think they passed their due. They're irrelevant in modern day society, especially labor laws that we have. And I was just alluding to, if you get fired not for cause from a job that you're a non-unionized job, you are owed severance based on your age, your position, and your time of employment. And it could be up to 2 years. And you could get that money within a month or two. Well, much faster than having to deal with your union boss, and God forbid your union boss is your union is in a collective bargaining agreement, and they're not even going to listen to you until that agreement has been negotiated, and your problems are going to be talked about 6 months down the road. Well,
was famously Hostess. They went under for a quarter. They went under for a 25-cent raise. So they wanted 50 cents. The bean counters, they said it can't be done. We'll go under. We'll give them 25 cents. How about that? It was a great compromise, and they were basically going to break even, and the union just wouldn't. They said no way, and that was that. We lost Hostess for a good number of years, and then they came back. Somebody bought them, and they're not union now.
Yeah, unions
It is what it is.
Unions are ultimately a cancer, but I digress because I know that it is an emotional topic for so many people.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of people buy into it. Pro or against.
Yeah, so being in an ANCAP, my position on unions.
Yeah, right. Penny D with the $10 super chat. When the hospital saw your guest coming, they said, "Do we offer this guy mate or just tell him he's so full of shit? His eyes are brown. I can tell. I can tell he can take a joke. Well, he's not even in here. Well, I know he's listening. So he's trying to get in here, but his video feed isn't working at the moment. We'll pull him in as soon as he is. That's crazy. But yeah, you and I, we both agree on the fundamental principle of the non-aggression principle. No use of force. You cannot use force. And a lot of unions use that tactic. It's a thing that they employ, and yeah, you just can't have that. I think I'm getting a picture here. It's just all black. Are you there?
Hear me, Clyde? At the very least, I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Listen, this is the best it's going to be. I'm on the road and my phone is dead, but I got my laptop sitting here on the dashboard. So we're good. But I didn't want to. Listen, I heard everything Kev said to the response to the union thing, and I'm right here with y'all. And honestly, can I just say this, gentlemen?
Yeah.
Isn't it refreshing to have a conversation where not everyone agrees about everything, but by golly, if you wouldn't imagine we're civil with each other and actually can come to an understanding in the middle. And it's like, we all can see what the real problem is.
Is this the part where I call you a racist bigot?
No, that's no, I've been saving that up for the finale. Wait till you hear what I think about P. Diddy. By the way, can I just add this in? This is a little sprinkler, a little palate cleanser for everyone. P. Diddy was sued by a cartel member who alleged that he ruined his drug dealing operation by trying to introduce certain things. But no, this is verified. You can look it up. The guy was like, yeah, he screwed up my drug thing. Like P. Diddy, and he tried to sue him $666,000, which I can't imagine was a random number.
666.
Yeah, baby. Now,
man, that's funny.
Can we just? Are we living in a reality? What happened here?
Can we just go on record and say that Sean Combs is I don't want to drop the F word, but we'll just call him a bitch.
Yeah, sure. I like that. Yeah, we can say that. Have you ever seen those dance moves he did on Ellen? Come on.
Yeah, he's a bitch.
Christ.
Even Tupac called him a bitch. He said, "No, this guy's a bitch."
Tupac was a ballerina, for the record.
Well, sure. Yeah,
he was a theater kid. I just learned that and it broke my fucking heart. Anyways, Clyde's like, this is off the rails as a motherfucker.
No, I do want to hit one more topic before we put this out, because this is one that I haven't had the chance to chime in this week about, and this is, well, I'll pop up my tweet on the subject. Of course, I'll take political imprisonment for 100, Alex. Double jeopardy is the name of the topic here in Canada. Apparently, we don't have double jeopardy laws. So if you're not familiar with this, there's a case.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah, it was a good movie.
I'm like, where are we going with this?
I've seen that movie.
It's a great movie. Ashley Judd all day. Sorry, Clyde.
Somebody dies at the end.
So this is a major update for the Coots 4 story. So it was the Coots 4, then it was the Coots 2. 2 were released. They pled out, and the other two went to trial, and then they were found innocent on the worst charge, which was the charge of conspiring to commit murder of a police officer, an RCMP officer.
Jesus.
Now, the prosecutor, this is from Jason Levine, who's been covering this from the very get-go. Crown Prosecutor Stephen Johnson, Matthew Daliowitz, I don't know how to pronounce that, and Aaron Rankin have just asked the Court of Appeal of Alberta for a retrial. So originally they asked for an appeal.
They shouldn't be able to do that. That's fucking
And now,
trash.
they're asking for a retrial of the acquittal on the charge of conspiracy to commit murder of a police officer for Chris Colbert and presumably Tony Olenek as well. There is here's why they're pushing for a retrial. One, the judge allegedly erred in by excluding relevant and admissible evidence. Two, the judge allegedly erred in his instruction to the jury. Three, they may present further grounds as counsel advises. This isn't just another legal move. This is blatant travesty of justice in Alberta, and it's a provision of our legal systems and a direct attack on our fairness, as well as we all expect from courts. Now, of course, Danielle Smith is not chiming in on this, and he's calling her out on that. Eva Chipiuk also giving her 2 cents in a longer piece. I hardly know what to say about this because it's so hard to believe this is a reality happening in Canada. 2 young men have spent over 900 days in remand without trial. They have now been found innocent of their most serious charge, and while they wait behind bars their sentencing, the Crown has advised that they're appealing their not guilty verdict and their fate remains unknown. Now, this went from an appeal to asking for a retrial. Now, Keith Wilson also chiming in on this. These are pretty well-known lawyers, right?
It was also expedited. It was an expedited appeal.
And this is the part that really drives me about this whole situation. It's like, oh, you want to appeal it? Yeah, okay. Well, 2 years, wait in line with everybody else with their appeal processes.
Yeah, good luck
4
with that.
years maybe. No. They got appealed right away. It went expedited right to the appeal.
I think this is it's just more evidence on the old pro-con board of rules being different depending where you are and where you work and what your wage is, and that's about it. That's the sad truth of it. And if they want to make an example out of these people, by the way, I say this with my nuts crawling up inside my stomach, because I have been critical of the government, and when the day comes when our laws are starting to mirror those of the UK, we got a guy serving 3 years now for a social media post. It was an idiotic post. It was a terrible post. He shouldn't have posted it, but he's in jail. Who's dictating what is hate speech? Who's dictating what quantifies as a,
Well, the most hateful people are dictating hate speech. That's how the system works.
Isn't that a funny little thing, eh? Isn't that a funny little thing?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I think it's meant, that's awful, though. I did not realize they should not be able to try those people again for the same crime. That's fucking insane. That's against everything.
I didn't know, but in Canada, we don't have double jeopardy laws.
That is Franz Kafka's The Trial to a T. You get trapped in the system, you never get out. And that is what it is. And that's scary.
And you know what? Yuri Bezmenov warned us. He says in future, Marxist-Leninist state, these dissidents, they'll be squashed like cockroaches. Nobody will pay them a cent for their noble ideas.
It's like I said earlier, man, I used to be proud. I used to be proud to be Canadian. I did used to be. For sure I was. Was is the key fucking word there. And it breaks my heart. Breaks my heart.
Absolutely. Well, on a lighter note.
Oh my God. You know what?
Oh, man.
Conversations like this with you two beautiful bastards, that's proof that it's not dead yet. That's kind of what we got to hang on to. You know what I mean? And everyone here listening and everyone that's, just even adjacent. We
We're
appreciate it.
we're definitely outliers. We probably represent 0.1% of the population.
I think it's growing. I think it's growing.
I hope I hope so,
think it's
because
growing.
all it takes for a revolution is 3-4% of the population.
5% to not pay their taxes in Minecraft. Yes, that is correct.
That's all you need.
Well, I mean, like the Boston Tea Party, it started with what, like 70 people at its height.
Did you know there's lockdowns in Boston right now? Not Boston, in a town called Oxford. They got the triple E mosquito-borne virus. Do you know who released a bunch of mosquitoes into the atmosphere last year?
Bill Gates. Bill Gates.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you. Yes, the winner.
Well, technically, Anne Melinda Gates. Yeah, they did it together.
Who is also
They're heroes.
majority.
They give all their money to charity.
Yeah,
Their own charity. Sorry.
Philanthropathy. Psychopaths disguised as philanthropists.
Yeah. I saw that
That is
recently.
pretty much
Somebody coined
to
that.
see exactly what's
I've
happening.
been saying that for about 2 years now. So.
Oh man, it is scary.
Fair
I mean,
enough.
you know, those helicopters were in Canada too. I mean, Clyde, I was sent pictures from Sarnia, Ontario, of the bug clouds that were getting released from helicopters. I mean, this is not conspiracy. These are things that happens. The government doesn't even deny that it happens. And now you have, it's called I can't remember the first word, equine syphilis. And so it's like a horse disease. So let's count it out now. What do we got? We got monkeys, we got birds, we got the sloth fever. Don't forget about sloth fever. And now we got the equine, the triple E virus. So horses, birds, fucking sloths. I mean, sloths aren't a huge issue for us, I guess. But no, it's like, what animal? They're trying to make us scared of every animal, every human, everything. Scared of the air.
Yeah, be afraid. Be afraid. Be very
Don't
afraid.
breathe the
Stop.
air. We're gonna figure out a way to
thinking.
convince y'all to lock down again. We
Yeah,
haven't
stop
got
thinking
there
for
yet.
yourself. Tune into CNN.
Don't
Be
you
afraid.
dare do your own research. Don't you dare.
And
Well,
to make a point, Bill Gates is also the majority shareholder in CN Rail.
Oh, you're
Gates.
fucking right, man. Oh my God, I forgot about
Wow.
that. Yes, he is.
Yes, he is.
I'm sure he's gonna try to get those trains up and running as quick as possible.
Well, for the good of the people, Clyde.
Yeah,
Of
for the
course,
good
yeah.
good of everyone out there. I'm sure.
The welfare of humanity is the alibi
Holy
of tyrants.
Holy shit.
Well, let's leave it on that high note. You guys stick around. I'm gonna end the stream here for everybody who's watching. I want to thank everybody. There's a lot of you. Holy cow! Almost 1,400 of you watching, depending on what platform you're on. We're getting a big audience on Twitter these days, which is crazy. It looks like more than half of the audience is over on Twitter. Get over onto YouTube though. This is the chat that we pay attention to. I don't know how chats work on Twitter. Unfortunately, it's a thing of where are we? That's where we're at. But hey, love having you guys joining in, and of course this turns into a larger conversation in the comments afterwards.
800 people are watching from Twitter. I'm looking at the number right now.
Fuck yeah. Let's go.
Amazing. So, well, thanks everybody for joining in and paying attention. To a couple of Canadians just want to talk about what's happening in the country. It looks like more people care about it than looking at CTV or whatever. Because their ratings suck. But
terrible ratings, bro. Honestly, you probably just crushed them out of the water. I love that. Fuck, I love that.
Anyway, appreciate all of you guys, and we'll see you back for the regular scheduled programming as of Monday morning. Make sure you re-up your subscription or hit the notification bell. This is a thing. Anytime a YouTuber goes on vacation, takes a bit of time off, the algorithm boots you right out of the recommendations.
Oh yeah, you're gone, baby.
So,
you're gone.
So get in there if you're watching this now. Make sure you hit that notification bell. Then you'll see me Monday morning. You'll be in there. So we'll see you all then. Everybody, keep on trucking.
Clyde, thanks so much for